Public Image Limited, the greatest hits so far. An ex-library CD I would have bought for £1 either in a library sale or at a charity shop. I had followed rock music from the simple energy of the Beatles' Please Please Me, right through to the complexities of progressive rock. I had seen Frank Zappa challenge every musical and social convention, and then seen the punks strip it all back to pure energy. I witnessed the beginning of the end of punk rock when I saw the last UK gig of the Sid Vicious version of the Sex Pistols at Brunel University. I and many like me had ideas of how music should progress post-punk, but it seemed that Johnny Rotten had a different plan. Johnny Rotten left the Sex Pistols, reverted to his real name of John Lydon, and formed Public Image Limited. I loved PIL's first single, but it was basically a punk record. However, it soon became apparent that it was intended to prove that they could make a commercial pop record, but were going to choose not to. I did not appreciate the early PIL records. They relied on a solid rhythm to be quite experimental, jarring and dissonant, with Lydon making little attempt at melody. It had elements of dub reggae, the robotic rhythm and swooshing synths of krautrock, and a touch of Captain Beefheart-like avant-garde rock, making it sound at times like a London version of The Fall. There was even some Tchaikovsky and some exotic Eastern-sounding scales. The CD is chronological and it starts to get more accessible. Flowers of Romance has a tribal drum and is almost like Adam and the Ants. And This Is Not a Love Song actually sounds a bit like a song of sorts. They peak with the song Rise. The guitars of Keith Levine are both powerful and driving, but also in places chiming and sweet, cutting across the solid rhythm and often strictly underpinning the vocal line. Jar Wobble's usual deep throbbing dub bass adds interest to the robotic rhythm, and Lydon manages to write a lyric based on an Irish proverb that does not just sneer, but celebrates with an anthemic chorus. I was surprised how much more commercial they got after Rise, as this was the point in the 80s that I stopped paying attention. The second half of this CD has real rock songs with not too much of the 80s production sound that I hate. There is a lot of guitar, even with heroic scorching lead, and loud drums and just a touch of sequenced synthesizers, and even some choral backing vocals. Songs and productions that remind me a bit of Big Country and Frankie Goes to Hollywood, with one quite like Carter USM. This is very much a CD of two halves, an interesting start and a foot-tapping sing-along ending. PIL, the greatest hits so far.